Good evening, all. Thank you so much for joining in the session this evening. I know that there is a lot on your plate. I know that, the semester, it's been assignment after assignment, and now we are full steam ahead towards the final submission at the end of the year. So this is our discussion that we are going to look at for task 4, or the final POE, the actual business plan. So task 1, 2, and 3, everything that you've been working on up until this point now all comes together in compiling this POE, the business plan that you are going to put together. Okay, so at this stage, you should have your results for part 3. And I just want to say on that note, well done everybody so far. The marks have been really good. So the assignments, I can see there's been a lot of work going into the assignments. You guys have really thought about how you want to set your businesses up, and I can see there's been a lot of effort put into it. So just from my side, thank you so much for for the continued hard work. I can really see it is evident in the work that you are submitting. So thanks again, guys, and I really am looking forward to getting these final business plans in again as well. So yeah, so let me know if you have your results and you need to chat about them, or you want to chat about any of the ideas that you have, or any questions, then just send me a message and we can connect up and I can help you with those as well. So yeah, so most of you guys have your feedback on it, and yeah, in fact everyone, unless you have submitted late, so I think those ones haven't been marked as yet. But yes, for the majority of the class, well done. Keep up the hard work. Like I said to my other students, the end is really nice, so we can really see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's the final push, the final lot of take-home exams and business plans and POEs that are all due, and then you move in to the next year, which is absolutely fabulous. So well done everyone. Yeah, so on that note, task 4, or the final POE, is due on the 16th of November. So you've got just on exactly 2 weeks to complete it. It is submitted in the same way that you have been submitting everything else. So you again submit it in exactly the same way. You've got until 9 o'clock to submit it on the Thursday. So not next Thursday, but the Thursday thereafter. The final POE is due. The POE counts 100 marks, so it is your actual business plan that you would need to do. So it counts 100. It's still out of 100% that you would do. The total marks, if I remember correctly, is 118 marks that it is going to be counted for. But I must just double check that it is coming on one of the slides as well. So in this POE, what you are exactly going to do is set up a whole business plan. So chapter 15 in our textbook runs through what a business plan is, why a business plan is so important, and in this final task, you are going to put together an entire business plan for your idea. So it has to be on the idea that you have created. Don't contradict yourself. If you have said you are making a solar power, or you are creating an app for fitness, or you are creating a school where you're going to teach trainers, whatever your idea was, you've got to take that idea in continuation for this final POE. Okay, and you'll see the POE itself is written in such a way that it explains to you exactly what needs to be done. So each part of the POE explains to you what is the word count, what is the mark allocation, and what is required of you in that section. Okay, so we're going to look at the marketing, we're going to look at the finances, we're going to look at the operations, we're going to look at everything systematically to create this POE document. So what I'll do now is I'll go through each part of the POE, give you a few tips and hints on each part, and then you guys can ask any questions that you may have then afterwards for that as well. So it's quite a lot of information that you need to put in the document. You are going to create this POE, this business plan, and you're going to submit it as if you were looking for extra funding from an investor, or you are showing your shareholders what your idea is going to be as well. Okay, so you'll see on our rubric that you're going to give, one of the first starting points that they tell us to do is to create a business logo for your business. Okay, So there are so many different platforms that you can use to create a logo. Think of something creative, think of something that's eye-catching. I have already seen that some of you have already included logos in your previous documents, so you are welcome to use those same logos. So a lot of you, as you have submitted cover pages for the previous task, you've already created a logo, so half of your work is done. For students who haven't created a logo yet, you can use absolutely any platform. Since this document was printed, so since the POE was released, there's been Canva, there's Clipchamp, there's a lot of different platforms that you can use to create this logo. Okay, so just let it be attractive, eye-catching. So I think for those marks that you're going to look at is to be attractive and really eye-catching. So when we see your logo, we know what the product is, we know what the company is, we get a feeling for what the brand is that you are promoting or that you are setting up this business plan for. So they give you some websites here that you can go and have a look at. You can just look at those logos and some examples as to what is a good logo as well. So just a few examples there on logos that you can sort of get some inspiration from. So we're going to create a business plan. They give us a word count of the business plan. So they say that the maximum word count is 7,500 words. So you've got a lot of words to write. Use it as a guideline. I know in the past some students have gone over the word count, and that is okay. And in the same breath, a lot of students have been a lot under the word count, but they have covered everything that they need to cover. So use it as a guideline. Use it as a way in which you can sort of judge that you have, that you have been portraying the information or giving the information through as well. So I always tell the students, look at the mark allocation for each section and make sure you've written enough for that mark allocation. Okay, don't repeat yourself. So if you are looking to get a few less words, don't repeat yourself and try not to exceed the word count. Okay, it's quite a lot of words, so there shouldn't be any need to go over. But if for some reason you are 100 words over or something like that, please don't panic. And in the same breath, if you are under the word count, also please don't panic. A lot of the time, students will email me to say, Kim, I've said everything I can possibly say about this product, but I'm on X amount of word, and I've looked through the documents and the business plan, and it is indeed like that. So use your own judgment here. Make sure you've written enough for the actual word count and the mark allocation, and just use that as a guideline to do it as well. So remember, you are using the same challenge and problem that you've developed in task 1, task 2, and task 3. So whatever business idea you are using, you are going to be implementing that idea in it. So good question as well, Ibrahim, and welcome to the session. But no, there's no word limit per section. However, you will see that each section has got a different mark allocation. So a lot of the sections are out of 20 marks, and then there are some sections that are out of 15 marks. So obviously you would use more words for the 20 mark question than you would in the 15 mark question and the 6 mark question. So I always tell the students to focus sort of on the mark allocation as to what's, where you are going to put your where you're going to use most of your words as well. But really, ladies and gents, and anyone who is listening to the recording, I really don't want you to stress too much about the word count. You, like I say, you really shouldn't go over it. Sometimes you might have to, but I think you will be fine within the limit as well. It's a lot of words to write, and you'll see the sections. You'll see the sections now when we go through them, which ones are the big sections and which ones are the smaller sort of sections. Like, for example, you're going to write an introduction and executive summary, 6 marks, so that you're not going to write a whole page on for 6 marks. So we'll unpack that in more detail then as well. Okay. So you'll see that each section is divided up into the marks, as you can see on the screen here. And the whole chapter 15 is part of the business plan. So you can follow the business plan structure, as they give it to you in your textbook there on page 399. So again, on page 399, they sort of give you an overall idea of what should be included in the business plan, but again, it's in your POE document. It is in it. But all of this information comes from page 300 and 399. So step one is to have a nice cover page. Very important on your cover page, I must be able to see the name of the business, the address of the business, a telephone number of the business, okay? And there must be a date on it, and the product logo must also be visible on the page, okay? So important to remember that these businesses are hypothetical. We have not created these businesses yet, so it does not have a real, in inverted commas, address. So you need to just make up an address, okay? So just give me an address where you would want to have the business. So where would the ideal location be? Is it your home? Is it a sort of an area? So just find an ideal location and give it to them as well. For the telephone number, again, you can just put in the telephone numbers as if they were hypothetical. So they're not going to be real numbers because the business isn't created. So you can put in perhaps your cell phone number, but even if you just put in a number, a 10-digit number, that would be acceptable. Okay, as long as we know that when we do a real business plan, we're going to have our numbers, our own business, location, addresses over there as well. But for the purpose of the business plan, remember, we don't have a physical address as yet, and we don't expect you to go and start this business. So just think to yourself, where's the ideal location, and give it an address and a business number. So 4 things we're looking for there: the name of the business, the logo, the address, and the telephone number, exactly as you are going to be marked there as well. So a mark for name, a mark for the logo. You'll see you'll be marked on the logo later on as well, but you'll still get a mark for it being present on the cover page, a mark for the address, and a mark for business. It's not a mark to, it's a mark to say it is there. So I'm not marking the business name at this stage. If you've got the business name on the page, you're going to get the mark for that as well. Okay, so I hope that makes sense as well. All right. Hi, Colleen. Nice to have you in the session. Okay, so let's just, I just want to see, I see there were 2 other messages coming through. I just need to go out of the screen to get them as well. I'm just reading your question quickly, Ibrahim. Also run at services. So I think for your idea, I think you could include also running it, or at least, because you'll see when we get to the financial plans, you're going to have costs for 2 months. So you're going to have running costs for 2 months. So you would have to start it up, build it, and then operate it and try and make a profit from it. So it would be definitely, if I have to just answer the question just from how you've described it here, definitely what it would cost you to build it, to buy everything that you need, to employ the people you need, and to actually run the business for the first 2 or 3 months in order to make a profit. So you will see when we get to the financial section, you're going to have to sort of find a way to get extra financing. So I'll speak about that. But yes, for your project, I would definitely have both of them in the project, both the building part and the running it, because that's where you're going to make the profit. And remember, a business plan, the sole purpose of our business plan is so that we can show the investors, the people, the shareholders, that our business is going to be making a profit, or is it feasible for us to run the business. Okay. So that's the first little part there of the thing, the cover page. So that's also a good question, Colleen. The rubric is in 1 to 13, as it is in the point, as it is, you'll see on the slide as well. You can do it in a different order, but I would recommend sticking to the format as well. So do it exactly as it is. The executive summary must come before the table of contents, because that's the first thing that people are going to read. So they're going to skip right to everything else. They're going to read the executive summary first. So obviously, it's not a major train smash if you do jump around, but it does become easier to mark. It matches in line with the rubric if you do it according to the rubric and according to the structure that you would have as well. So I know it seems a bit crazy for us to start without the table of contents, but let me just give you some background as to why it is like that. So generally, our executive summary, you'll see from the 5 marks that we're going to get there, the executive summary is what the first thing an investor is going to focus on, and they're going to look at the executive summary first. So it's the first point that they're going to read, and if this catches their eye, then they're going to look at everything else. So the first page can't be a table of contents, because we almost, even that's not eye-catching. The people want to read the first page, must be the executive summary, must be the the catch, the key. It must be the gripping part of the business plan. Once I've read the executive summary and I've decided this is something I'm interested in, then I can turn the page and then I can look at the table of contents. Maybe then I'm interested in finances or operations, and I can go to where I need to be. But the first thing I need to do is to read the executive summary. So that's why we always put it in above the table of contents as well. Okay. So yeah, so that's the executive summary. It's our summary document. It is the informative summary of the key areas. Make it interesting. This needs to be the part that grabs the audience, grabs the reader. So it tells the audience, the person who's reading, why should they be interested in this product? What is this product all about? Why is it so great? If I'm investing or I'm giving you finance for this product, why should I? Okay. So it's often recommended that we do it at the end of the product, but it doesn't or at the process, but it doesn't really matter. The point is just to, once I've done everything else of the POE, then I have a better idea of how the business is functioning and what it is. But basically the key points be, when I read the executive summary, I must know exactly what the product is. I must know the key focus areas. I must be interested in investing in this product. So this is the part where you really have to sell your idea, because now you want the investor to read on. Okay. So for 5 marks, you're looking at a decent paragraph, maybe 5 or 6 sentences here. Executive summary. Grab the attention of the reader as well. Okay. Ibrahim, I see your question there on the other page. I'm going to come and answer that. I'm just going to pin it for now, and I'm going to come back and then answer that one as well. Okay. So just hang on with that question. So then we move on to our table of contents. Remember, 6 marks is quite a lot, guys. You need a detailed table of contents. You need to say exactly where to find everything that's part of the POE, as well as the page numbers. Okay. So I have had in the past where students don't give the page numbers, or they don't give. Remember, for 6 marks, it's not just writing question 1 and the page number. Explain what is question 1. The operational plan. This is the page you're going to find of the operational plan. So go into detail about it. Well numbered, must look neat. Make sure it's justified, so your page numbers are not all over the show. They're all in a straight line. And I must be able to see immediately, if I want to look at the marketing plan, which page is corresponding to the marketing plan. So just put in your table of contents there as well. Then we get into the actual information part of the POE. So you'll see we do the business, product, and description, a marketing plan, a financial plan, and an operational plan. So those are the 4 main ones that we're going to look at now, and then we're going to obviously conclude it there at the end as well. So the next step for 15 marks, explaining the business in detail. So here you're going to explain the business and the product in detail. So a lot of this information you would have already put in task 1. Perhaps you've re-explained it again in task 2. So you are welcome to use that information that you have already used or described in task 1 and task 2. Okay. So I know that there might be a bit higher similarities in this case. That is okay. Remember, I check every single assignment. So if it is just your own work that has been sort of identified as copied or plagiarized, it is okay. Here you are explaining the business and the product. Okay. So you are looking at, what is the product? Describe the product, all the services. Why did you choose this product? So identify the gap that you are filling in, the problem that you are looking at as well. Discuss if there are any special patents or trademarks or copyrights that you need to be applying for, that you need to get as this person who is creating this business as well. Okay. So make sure you are doing that. Okay. Yes. sorry, you can definitely use, definitely, you can use the words from the previous part as well. So you can definitely copy and paste from task 1 and task 2. So I hope you got that perfect. Thank you, Colleen, for confirming. 100% you are able to copy and paste. Like I say, I will look at each document, and if for some reason your similarity is high and it's this section that has been identified as a previous submission, it is okay. Okay, so you don't have to go and rewrite everything. So a good description of what the business is and what the product is. Okay, so you're describing your product, you are describing the business, you are describing how your product relates to the market, how does it fill that market gap. Discuss if there are any patents and trademarks. Remember, your business may have none, so then just have a simple sentence to say, at this stage in my business, there are no patents that I need to apply for. So just say that you acknowledge that sometimes there might be patents, but for your case, there are no patents or trademarks or any specific copyrights and intellectual property rights that you need to be aware of for that as well. Okay. So step 1, business and product description. Step 2 that you can see on the screen here, a full-on marketing plan. So you'll remember from your marketing module that marketing, the basics of marketing are the 4 Ps. So you are going to look at each P. I'm just going to make that a bit bigger so you can see. You're going to look at each P and identify elements in each of those Ps and explain them in more detail. So you're going to look at the product, the price, the place, and the promotion. For each one of those Ps, you are going to be awarded 5 marks. So for 5 marks, you are looking at each one of those Ps. Again, describing the product. So again, you can see repetition from the first part of the business plan as well as in task 1. But you have to put it in. Describe the product once again. Give your product a price. So explain the price of the product, okay? Identify pricing strategies that you have used. So how are you going to price it? What have you taken into consideration for this price as well? Indeed, you can list the materials that you use. If it is a service, explain the service. So explain the service in detail that you are using, Colleen, that's fine. So if you are using a service, what is the service? How does the service work? And what materials would you be able to use for that to provide that service as well? Pricing strategy, what have you taken into consideration? Have you perhaps looked at some competitors and their prices? So what are the pricing strategies that you are going to use? What are you going to charge for the service? What are you going to charge for the product? What are you going to charge to install the product or to use the app or to buy the solar panels or to do whatever it is that you are going to be promoting as your product, okay? Place, where are you going to sell this product or service? So how are you going to distribute it? Is it something that you are going to distribute to the whole of South Africa or the whole world? And if so, what distribution channels are you going to use? Are you going to use door-to-door delivery services? Are you using trucks? Are you using personal services? Are you using a manufacturer and a middleman to distribute your product? Do you have a physical building if you are providing a service and the people need to come to your building to get the service? So what is your place? What is your distribution? How are you going to get your product or your service out there? And then lastly, what promotional tools are you going to use? How are you going to advertise your product? Are you going to make a video and place it on YouTube? Are you having a radio advert? Are you having a print advert? What promotional tools are you going to use? Are you using direct marketing where you're going to phone people and try and sell your product? What are the tools? What are the strategies that you are going to use to create a marketing plan? So 20 marks, a big chunk of the POE would be for that. Like I say, 20 marks divided up into 4 Ps, and each P is worth 5 marks. So that's how you could split those marks up there. Okay. Then we're looking at the financial plan, okay? Now, this financial plan, it often gets the students, it is quite a tricky thing to sort of wrap your head around because it's quite a a concept to think that, you know what, how am I going to actually even think about how am I going to make money? What about operating costs? So I always tell the students to try and keep it simple. Okay, so you need to look as if the business is going to be operational for 2 months. So you need to work out all the expenses that your business is going to need. What are the expenses? What is the cost? How much money do they actually need to cover their costs for 2 months? Okay, so you need to sort of give a forecast of that as well. And you get 250,000 Rand to start off with. So you have been given a startup funding of 250,000 Rand, and you need to project, estimate, forecast how much money do you actually need to operate for 2 months. So to actually run the business and to actually function as a business, and you would have for 2 months as well. Okay. So at this point in time, I know, and I have said to some students as well, that 250,000 Rand in your line of business is not going to go very far. Okay, so if you are creating big structures and big things like that, this 250,000 Rand isn't going to go far. Then in this financial plan, you need to indicate you are going to get a bank loan, or you are going to get funding from the government. You're going to apply for funding to set up this institution. Sometimes you might be setting up a not-for-profit organization. So again, you need to say that you would be getting funding from donations, or from the public, or from investors, or from the government, like I said, or from your own, maybe your own investment that you have. So it doesn't matter really where the funds are coming from. You need to just indicate, if you are needing more funds, how do you think you're going to get those funds? How are you going to get extra funding as well? Okay. Yes, okay. So let me just ask those questions as well. So Colleen, yes, in the past, we always gave the students a template to work from, but we found that that sort of limited the students a bit. So you can use any template that you would find. If you need an example, I can give you an example. Like I said, I do have one, but I found that if the students just use a table form and just try and keep it simple, then that is acceptable. So you use it in a table form and write down on the left-hand side which are your expenses. So I need to pay rent. I've got so many people that I'm employing for my salaries. I need to have this machine. I need to have this equipment. So you would list all the expenses that you would need for the 2 months. And then you would need to identify your 250,000. So if you are over the limit, yes, you need to indicate where you're going to get that funding from as well. Okay. So Ibrahim, it's entirely up to you. So some students, again, have said to me that they are going to approach investors to get the money. So they are going to perhaps take a loan. So you can take a loan 100%. You can say you're going to take a loan from the bank to start up your business. Some of the students would say that they're going to get sort of donations. So they're going to get investors, or like people who are going to invest in the business, or donations, organizations that are going to participate in this charity because we are training people and we are doing something good, like some of the examples. So how you get the funding is entirely up to you, as long as you indicate your funding source. So whether it is a loan, whether it is your personal money. So if you think that I'm starting a bakery and I just need 50,000 Rand more, but luckily I have 50,000 Rand in my bank account, for example, then you can say 250,000 Rand is my startup funding, and I'm putting in a personal loan of 50,000 Rand. Okay. If you are saying that if you have said that you are making a public company, then you indicate 250,000 Rand startup funding, plus the money that I would get from selling shares would be, let's say, another 250,000 Rand. Okay. And 100% you can get funding from absolutely anywhere. So if it's from an IPO, perfect. It can be a government institution, it can be a private institution, it can be an organization like CEDAR that loans money at a very good interest rate to young upcoming entrepreneurs. So it could be that. Anything is acceptable as to where the rest of the money should come from. Some of the business ideas might not need 250,000 Rand. So some of them are simple ideas, but good ideas, but a little bit more not so large scale. 100% you can use that 250,000 Rand, and perhaps you've got some money left over, put it, say you're going to invest it, say you're going to save it in things. So you don't have to use all the 125,000 Rand. So now you've calculated the cost that you need every month. The last step that you need to do here is to calculate a break-even point. So just a simple break-even point. Basically, what they're asking here is to say, how many of your products do you need to sell, or how many of the services do you need to render in order to break even, in order to cover your expenses. So what is the break-even point of the business in the month that you have looked at as well? So creating a budget, saying this is the money that's coming into the business, this is how I'm allocating it for the first 2 months of the business. So we are only looking at 2 months for the business. This is the income. I've got 250,000 Rand that I was given as a startup funding. I am putting in X, Y, and Z, or I'm taking a loan for such and such amount of money, and these are the expenses. This is where the money is going to get spent on for the first 2 months of the business. So let me just quickly pause there and just check. Everybody happy with the financial section of it? So don't overthink it. Keep it simple. If you need funding, you can sort of say where you're going to get that funding from, and then you just allocate that money in your budget as well. So whatever you're going to need to spend the money on, you just indicate it on there as well. Okay. Okay, thanks, guys. That's good that you understand that. And then you'll see we can sigh of release, because from now it seems like it's going to be That's what I'm saying, Colleen. So maybe I don't know, maybe you missed it in the beginning, but to get to 7,000 words is quite difficult. So if you feel as if you've covered absolutely everything in your POE and you're on 4,500 words, please don't stress. That is fine. Like 7,000 words is really a lot to get to. So we're not too, in the past, in fact, we've actually downscaled it, but because it's just, there are another group of entrepreneurship students who are also doing it. So you can definitely keep it simple. You don't have to get to that word count. So you probably missed that part here. But to get to 7,000 is really a lot of writing for the amount of marks. So I always say stick to the amount of, stick to the mark allocation. If you've written enough for 20 marks, generally what we say, 20 marks, 20 facts. 15 marks, 15 facts. So that's kind of the judgment that we are going for you. So if you've written a good marketing plan and each of your P's have got about 5 facts underneath them, you're going to get your 20 marks. It doesn't matter if it is under the word count. So I think that's more of the approach that we are taking for this document. So this, I think I have explained the financial plan here a little bit more. I just want to get to the operational plan now as well. So like I said, the last part, we can all breathe after the finances, is the operational plan. So the operational plan is who is going to be in charge of your business. How is your organization structured in terms of the staff, in terms of the personnel, in terms of who owns the business, in terms of any employment agreements that you may have in place, okay? So if you have said that you are a sole trader, you're a one-man show, you're going to have to indicate that in your operational plan. But obviously it is for 15 marks. So you have to then go and identify all the jobs that you are going to be doing as a one-man band, okay? So you're going to say, I am the CEO, but I'm also going to do the marketing. I'm also going to be the accountant. And these are the employment contracts. I wouldn't need employment contracts, but this is the transformation model that I would implement in the business. Look at any other legal requirements that you might need within the operational plan. So in your operational plan, sometimes it's easier for the students to draw the organogram, so to draw who is in charge and who is underneath each one. So you've got your CEO, your top board of director. Underneath, you've got a marketing plan that you're employing, or marketing manager, sorry. You've got a human resource manager. Maybe you've got an operational manager or a supply chain manager. So each business is going to be different. Some of the businesses that I've seen really only have one person. Other businesses are going to need a whole team of people to make the business work. So in the operational plan, you need to identify who are the key role players in your business. If your whole idea has been that I'm going to start small, so I'm setting up a bakery, and in the beginning, for the first 3 months, it is just going to be me. But after 3 months, I want to employ another baker, or maybe a cleaner, or a chef, whatever it may be. You indicate that in the operational plan. So you say, at this stage, it is only myself in the business, but after 6 months, this is what I hope to have as part of the business. I hope to be able to employ a this or that, or whatever it may be. And then set up any other employment agreements that you may have. So set up any other, if there are specific employment agreements, maybe you are working, like we say, at a bakery, and there's a recipe that you don't want to be shared. So you would indicate all the employees that are employed would need to sign this waiver that they're not going to disclose the information, so that they're going to keep the information secret. It's not going to be divulged because it's a secret recipe, or whatever it may be. Okay. So those are the 4 big sections, like we said. So we have our marketing plan, our product description, our finances, and our operational plan. So those are the big chunks of section that we're going to do. And if you can get those ones done well, then you know you've done well for the rest of the assignment, because the rest is just marks that are allocated for the conclusion for 5 marks, for how the business plan is structured. Does it flow logically? Is it neat? Is it creative? Are there any spelling errors? Did you write in a professional tone? You'll see on the next page, it is for the business logo. So is your business logo creative? So again, you get an extra 2 marks. Remember, you would have already got 1 mark on the cover page. Here again, you are awarded 2 marks for the business logo. The creativity. So was your product creative? Did it really solve the problem, or does it have potential to solve that problem that you have identified? And then second last, we're looking at, does it make sense? Did you synthesize everything? So in other words, what you spoke about in task 1, is that coming through in task 3 in the final, task 4 in the final POE? Does it really explain, once I've read this POE, do I really get a good feel of what this product is? And is it consistent to what you have been saying from task 1, task 2, task 3, wrapping it up in task 4? So for 4 marks, you're getting sort of an overall mark on, how well did you sort of justify this idea and use the idea as part of your business plan as well. Okay. Let me just quickly go back to that question before I move on, Colleen. Is it okay to have a page with just the logo? You can have a page with the logo after question 8 again, but remember, your logo is going to appear on your cover page. So from your cover page, if you want to repeat the logo at the end just to put it in, you can, but it's really not necessary, because your logo is going to come on your cover page. So your logo is going to come on the very first page that I see. You're going to have your business logo, your business name, the business address, and the business telephone number. So then it's not necessary to have it again after the conclusion as well. So let's just check here. And then obviously use of sources for 3 marks. Did you consult anything? So again, a lot of this information is coming from your own ideas and things like that, but you will base some of the information on a source. So let's say, for example, in the marketing section, you are speaking about a pricing strategy. So you are saying, this is the pricing strategy I am implementing. Where did that pricing strategy come from? Where did you read about that pricing strategy? What source did you use to explain that pricing strategy? So that's where the referencing is going to come in. You're not going to reference your ideas and your ways, but you're going to reference the theory that you are basing it in as well. So you'll say, for example, this is the pricing strategy I'm using. This is the source where it comes from. So you'll have your reference in there as well. So you're going to use references and sources for things like the whole marketing plan. So for the actual description of the 4 Ps, where you are speaking about distribution. So let's say you are saying, my product is going to use indirect distribution. Indirect distribution is, and then you're going to explain. That needs to be referenced. That's a source. Where did you get that information from? So just reference where you have specifically used it, or you've said the patent that I need is such and such, but how do you know what a patent is? Where did that information about the patent come from? Reference where you found out the information about the patent. 100%, Vijay. So from question, so basically, just if I can, I'm not going to go back into it, but just so that I can have a look here, your POE, your main focus areas for this document consist of 4 essential parts: the business description, the business and product description, the financial planning, the marketing, and the operation. So that's the main chunk of the business plan. Everything else, the cover page, the conclusion, the logo, the sources, everything else is just the supporting areas of the business plan. But you are going to be focusing on those 4 main areas: business description and product description, operating plan, financial plan, and marketing plan. So those are the 4 chunks that you're going to use. And then obviously, like you say, exactly, from 9 to 13, where we speak about creativity, use of sources, substantiation, conclusion, table of contents there from number 2, executive summary from the first thing there as well. That is just all the extras to make sure that your document looks neat, that you've not missed anything, and that everything is in line with what you have done in the business plan. 100% there. And perfect. Thank you, Pretty. Yeah, so I just thought, I think the next slide does speak about referencing. Yeah, so I did speak about the referencing there as well. So it's often quite tricky to try and reference this, because a lot of this is a business plan. It's my idea, you know. So how am I referencing my idea? But remember, our ideas and our thoughts are often based on things that we have seen or read or understand. So specifically when we speak about the theoretical points, like the 4 Ps, we didn't just make up the 4 Ps. They are theory. The 4 Ps are theory. So even though your work is based on that, you need to just acknowledge, where did you actually know about the 4 Ps? So how did you find out about the 4 Ps? Where did you read about them? So that's then where you would bring in the referencing part for it. Okay. So be creative again. 100 marks for the task. Apply it to your business. Be creative. Shout if you need any help. So remember, if you're stuck with something, send me an email. Let me know. We do have another session as well, if I remember correctly. I think it's next week. I think it's next Thursday. Let me just quickly double check when our next session is. So again, you should by that stage have some, maybe you've been working on it a bit more and you've got some other ideas or some other questions that you would need to have, so we can log on and and really just unpack those as well. Yeah, so the 13th of October, I think that's a Monday if I'm not. So it's the Monday before it is due. So it's the beginning of the week before it is due. We've got another collab session. So again, come with your questions. If you're not sure about something and you've been working on it up until that stage, really do ask at that time. Yeah, so that really is all from my side, ladies and gents. Thank you so much again for joining in. I apologize for the confusion yesterday. I will also post that recording, although it's pretty similar to this one, but I do apologize for that confusion yesterday. But I'm so glad you guys could join tonight. I really do appreciate it. And I'll stay online for a few more minutes. If anybody else has got any questions, please let me know. Abraham, I'm going to get back to your question as well. For anyone else who doesn't have a question, you're welcome to log off. I know that your time is precious, so you're welcome to log off from the session. But if you've got any other questions, please do ask. Good luck, everyone. Like I say, I really am so proud of all of you for getting this far and for persevering. I know sometimes it can be hectic. The deadlines come quicker than what we think. So yeah, so well done, and just keep it up, guys. The light is at the end of the tunnel. Have a good evening, everyone.